Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now.
Good evening, everyone. An elderly Launceston man is recovering in hospital tonight after 2 armed men broke into his home and bashed him before running off. Police are describing the attack as cowardly and are pleading with the public to help catch the perpetrators. Our reporter Sean McComish has more.
A 75-year-old man was brought to the Launceston General Hospital last night, suffering significant injuries to his head and ribs. Police were called to the Heather Street home just after 9 p.m. when 2 armed men broke in and demanded money. The victim was struck multiple times. It's believed a long-barrelled firearm was also used to strike him. The men then fled the home with a small amount of property. Today, forensic officers returned to the scene as shocked neighbours watched on.
The attack was a cowardly attack on a defenceless 75-year-old male person. We are extremely keen to take these persons into custody.
The men are described as both being in their 20s. One man is roughly 6 foot tall, has a slim build and was wearing a face covering. The other is only described as being shorter.
There are people out there who know who these people are, and they have every opportunity to ring Tasmania Police or ring Crime Stoppers anonymously to provide information to ensure these people are taken into custody.
The victim has been interviewed by officers and remains in good spirits and in a stable condition. Police are describing the incident as a completely random attack. They're appealing for anyone with CCTV of the area to come forward.
2 men remain on the run tonight after breaking into a HERDSMANS COVE home while armed in the early hours of this morning. Police say the occupants of the Calvert Crescent property heard banging at the front door just after 5 a.m. 2 males then forced themselves inside the home before eventually leaving empty-handed, with the main occupant of the property suffering minor injuries.
We're in the early stages of the investigation, so we're obviously looking at door knocks and looking for any assistance from the public for any information as to what occurred this morning.
A number of police attended the scene and a helicopter was deployed in an attempt to locate the men. Investigators say a garage fire which killed a man in Swansea on Friday afternoon was accidental. The 61-year-old died after flames ripped through the structure just after 4 p.m. The exact cause of the blaze is yet to be determined because of extensive damage, but authorities have concluded it wasn't deliberately lit. And the Prime Minister's cabinet reshuffle has also seen Senator Jonathan Duniam promoted to the roles of Assistant Minister for Forestry and Fisheries and Regional Tourism. He was also named Deputy Manager of Government Business in the Senate. A packed community meeting at RISDON VALE has laid bare community concern over the potential loss of the suburb's medical centre. The private business was deemed no longer viable after one of its long-serving doctors retired. Locals are now calling for government assistance. The clinic is expected to close its doors next month, residents saying the loss would have a profound impact on the elderly community.
There's over 500 people that we need to place in other practices. Most of those are elderly. Transport's an issue here. How do they get to other practices?
The department is working very closely with the local community. The government will be working with the local community to ensure that health services are provided in that area.
The Health Department is running an expression of interest process for other providers to offer services in the area. Hairdressers in Hobart have used their skills to take part in a global cut-a-thon, raising money to help lift vulnerable people out of poverty. Operating out of a pop-up salon today, all funds raised from clients will go back to Hair Aid. The Australian organisation sends volunteers to developing countries to teach locals how to cut hair, often enabling them to earn a living and change their lives.
Every $50 master cut actually pays for one kit to gift to a person that actually wants to learn to cut hair in countries like the Philippines, Cambodia.
The cut-a-thon organisers are also hoping the campaign will break the Guinness World Record for most money raised for charity in 24 hours by haircuts. Cracker Night has once again gone off with a bang. Light and sound filled the sky across the state last night as Tasmanians took the chance to let the sparks fly. These pictures were taken in the state's Central Highlands. However, wet weather caused some events to be cancelled. The first ever Australian Musical Theatre Festival has hit the perfect note with Launceston audiences this weekend. More than 2,000 tickets were sold across the 4-day event, filled with performances and workshops.
We have a very good theatre culture in Launceston, not just musical theatre, but all types of theatre, and that's part of the reason why the festival has been possible and why it's been such a success, because our community really rallies behind the arts and around theatre and really takes it as their own.
The festival has funding from the state government to continue for the next 5 years.
The Southern Huskies have treated the Derwent Entertainment Centre crowd to a thrilling game of basketball, getting up by just 5 points over the Manawatu Jets in their New Zealand NBL clash a short time ago, while it was a mixed bag of results on the road for the state's NBL 1 sides. Hanging on to 5th spot by a thread on the competition ladder, the Huskies came out with a point to prove in front of the home crowd, spurred on by big man Jalen Billups. The side stepping things up in the second period to keep the Jets grounded on the scoreboard, but the visitors fired up the engines in an intense third period, silencing the Huskies faithful and taking a 1-point lead into the home stretch. Some choice words from coach Anthony Stewart having the desired effect, with the home side holding on to record their 4th win of the season by 5 points. Billups, the star of the show, with 31. In today's NBL 1 action, the Hobart Huskies recovered from a shaky start against Eltham to give themselves every chance heading into the last break, but the Wildcats proved too good, dishing the visitors an 11-point loss. The women's side playing out a thriller against Eltham today, with the game all tied up come the end of the 4th period. The Huskies digging deep in overtime, but falling just short of a desperately needed win by 2 points. The Northwest Thunder taking it right up to the Basketball Australia Centre of Excellence, clawing themselves back into the game to set things up for a tense final period. But the visitors couldn't break through as the home side secured the 7-point win. It was a horror road trip for the Launceston Tornadoes, with the side suffering 2 heavy losses. The Basketball Australia Centre of Excellence far too good for the visitors in Melbourne today, getting up by 37 points following the Torns' 36-point loss to Ballarat overnight. And in netball, the Northern Hawks staked their claim on back-to-back State League premierships in Launceston overnight, dominating Cripps for the entire match before coming away with a whopping 32-goal win. South Hobart have booked their spot in the Lacquer Seljack Cup final following a cruisy win over Olympia at Darcy Street today. The home side got its first chance early, courtesy of a penalty, with Ben Hamlet making sure of it. Relentless pressure resulting in another opportunity just a few minutes later before the Warriors clawed back the difference to 1, with Joffrey Nicoso producing the goal of the day from 30 yards out to catch the keeper off guard. South had one more in them before half-time, and from there it was smooth sailing, with the side setting up a cup final showdown with Devonport on June 10. The accolades continue to roll in for Alive after claiming handicap honours in the Sydney Hobart, with the Tasmanian yacht taking out line honours at the Spinnaker Cup in the United States this morning. Sailing 86 nautical miles from San Francisco to Monterey, Alive led the fleet of 40 the entire way before finishing up in just over 7 hours. The crew will now shift their focus to the Transpac race to Hawaii in July. A young Tasmanian axeman has cemented his spot as one of the world's best, shattering several records at the 2019 Still Timber Sports Rookie World Championships in Sweden. And Josh Bakes will now be returning home with some new silverware. Competing against athletes from 10 different countries, the 21-year-old from Sheffield showed no signs of nerves, holding his own up against the world's best up-and-comers.
I came away with the goal at first, but I'm still really rapt coming over here with second place. We're in beautiful Sweden. It's a great location, and first time chopping in a world championship here in Europe, so I'm just rapt.
After strong showings in 4 wood chopping and soaring disciplines, Bakes found himself tied in first place with New Zealand's Chris Lord, with the championship then decided on count-back of overall times as the Tasmanian fell painfully short of securing the gold in the under-25 division.
And then really started to bringing it home in the single back, which got me up there, and it still gave me the opportunity to win in the underhand, which I cut a world record time, but obviously still wasn't good enough.
Bakes not only setting a new world record, but smashing 2 national records and notching up 3 personal bests along the way. And having established himself as one of the best axemen Tasmania has ever produced, he's now set to also receive a hero's welcome when he returns home to Sheffield.
Welcome back. 15 degrees today in Hobart, Burnie and Devonport, 14 degrees in Launceston. The state's top was 16 degrees at Campania, 15 for Low Head, Smithton, Wynyard, Fingal and St Helens, 14 at Bushy Park. Cressy, Scottsdale and Ouse all 13 degrees with 12 for Sheffield and Medina. Cloudy conditions on the chart. They continue there over Tasmania today, stemming from the low west of the state. A trough near the WA coast is resulting in cold cloud over the region, otherwise relatively cloud-free. Tomorrow, a prefrontal trough crosses the state with a cold front approaching. Surface troughs remain in WA and Queensland, the remainder under the influence of the high. West to northwesterly winds 10 to 20 knots, increasing 20 to 30 through the north. Winds shifting southwesterly during the morning and the afternoon in the north, the west and the south, with seas to 3 and 4 metres around the northwest and the south. A severe warning for damaging winds about King Island for Monday morning. A gale warning for western and northern coastal waters. There's a strong wind warning for all remaining waters. A small craft wind alert for the Central Lakes. There's a sheep graziers warning for parts of King Island and the Furneaux Islands. A bushwalkers alert for western and central districts for snow to 700 metres. And a flood watch for the Huon. Showers through the south tomorrow, 12 in Hobart, 11 for Dover and Ouse, 13 in Launceston, a few clouds there, 13 degrees in Devonport also, 12 for Scottsdale. Showers easing and 12 degrees for Burnie and Stanley, 11 for Strawn, with 13 degrees for St Helens, a few showers early on, 13 for Swansea, a sunny day there, and 10 for Ross. Showers with small hail expected on Tuesday through the south, the west and central parts. Some possible thunderstorm activity expected. Showers through the west, the south and central parts on Wednesday, fine elsewhere, with similar conditions again expected on Thursday. Around Australia at your major centres tomorrow, 23 and sunny in Perth. Showers in Adelaide 16, Melbourne 13, 19 in Sydney with 27 for Brisbane and Cairns. Clouds about at the moment, 9 degrees in Hobart, Launceston 10 and 11 in Devonport with a bit of rain. That's all from me, Rach.
Wonderful, thank you for that, Sam. Well, today marks 57 years since this station switched on for the very first time, while 2019 also marks a quarter of a century since Andrew Denton flicked the switch to begin broadcasting statewide. We'll leave you now with a look back at the moment we entered this new era. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
And I get the honour, the lifetime honour, of declaring Southern Cross Television open. So, without any further ado, God bless Southern Cross Television and all who soil in her. Oh, we're on. This'll be good. I was wrong.